The Shammgod. Today I'm going to go over the history of it, how it came to be popular, and why I think it's going to be a fundamental, basic move in the very near future. Coach Jesse Minshew again handles basketball, where I show you how to play like the pros. Make sure you click that subscribe button and that bell icon to catch the newest videos, and hit that like button if you dig the Shammgod. So I've been digging and reading up on the Shammgod, and as far back as I could find, the player that first did it was a European player named Dragan Kazanovic. Hopefully I said his name right. But the move came from Europe, and from there, Shammgod ended up picking up this move. He was a player from New York, and he brought it back to the United States, and he's probably the one that really popularized it, at least in American culture and American basketball. And now when you see the Shammgod, you know the Shammgod. So it's kind of interesting because it's actually got European roots, and most people tend to think of European players as being, more fundamentally sound and skilled, whereas American players kind of have this vibe of being a little flashier, a little bit more street ball, unorthodox, things like that. So it's kind of interesting how nowadays there's kind of this stigma about it being this street ball move, even though it came from Europe. Here's why I think it's going to become more of a fundamental, common move, and I'm going to break down some details to make it that way for you. So if you want to start doing it in games in a way that your coach might be okay with it, you'll know how to do it. So I've seen a few guys from Europe do it more as like a one-hand piece, which to me isn't really the Shammgod. To me, it's like there should be a hand switch to make it a Shammgod, right? And the way most guys were doing it back in the day, like Shammgod and the guys from Europe, where they would push it out one way to make it seem like they're gonna drive that way, and then the hand would come over the basketball and they would come across the other way. And usually whichever foot did the setup, they would step up with that foot. And then from there, people started remixing it and doing it different ways. They would step with the opposite foot as the hand that's doing the setup. And now the ball's a little bit more exposed, but it allows you to go into a step back. And then from there, Streetball guys started picking it up. So you might have seen guys from like the N1 mixtape tour doing this move, or streetballers in some of these underground crews. Like there used to be a crew called the Nautic and Dime 55, and all these guys doing crazy tricks. I really got into that stuff as well. And they really took things next level. They would do the Shammgod with a setup where they would kind of roll it out and act like they lost the basketball to kind of bait the defender to go for the ball. Or sometimes they would even push it out overhand, but still really leave it exposed and out there for a while to bait the defender. And then from there, they started going really wild with some of the guys that wanted to get like trickier with it, and they would do it like between the legs. They would do it between the legs the other way. They would do it behind the back. And all these other crazy variations that were a little bit flashy and probably a little bit unnecessary, but it became like this popular thing, right? And that's where I think a lot of that street ball stigma came from, is when players started exposing the basketball and taking all these little stutter steps, or adding swagger to it and going into it. Or going between the legs, right? All that stuff's a little bit extra and unnecessary, and most coaches aren't gonna like that. But nowadays in the NBA, we're seeing a lot of guys do it really quickly and effectively with all of that messing around. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know who you think is the most effective Shammgod in the game right now. Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, a bunch of other NBA guys have done it, but those are two that really use it a lot. And the way they'll do it, and the way I would recommend you would want to do it, if you want to do it in a way that your coach will be okay with, is pushing it out more old school way, okay, and usually stepping with the same side foot as the hand that's doing the setup, and being a little more direct with it. You keep it a little lower and really act like you're trying to sell the fake, that will help. And the other reason I think this is going to be a fundamental move at some point is, if you look at it, there's really nothing flashy about that. Plus, you get an extra advantage out of it. When you come across the basketball over the top of this other hand, look what my shoulders do. I have to dip it down, right? And I have to lean into this direction. Well, that's what you have to do to really sell a good fake to move your defender in one way. And the best part is, the millisecond you're in that position and get the defender shifting that way, it's the same time you're coming this way. That creates a lot of separation from your defender. The other way you might see some guys do it, and you might be able to get away with this, is Kyrie Irving sometimes, he'll push it on a little bit higher to bait the defender, kind of like the flashier way, but he won't take like all the stutter steps or add all that extra like swagger to it, right? He'll just push it up high and then still take that hard step to really make it seem like he's coming that way and then come back the other way. So those are some key things you want to pay attention to. Now here's why I think it's going to be something that's considered basic and fundamental at some point. Number one, really it's not that flashy if you're doing it with just the minimum amount of steps, the minimum amount of swagger and dribbles, and you're not doing anything complicated. Really, I mean, what's the difference between a crossover and this? There's really not that much difference. Number two, that fake gets sold really, really well, right? Because the shoulder comes across. And number three, we're just seeing more guys use it and just sending their defenders flying and getting wide open shots. Now, if you're just thinking old school, and you don't want to ever like see anything new come into the game, yeah, you probably still might not like this. But really, at the end of the day, the point of the game is to score the basketball, to hit an open teammate, to get your shot off. And if it gets the job done better than another move, why would you not be using it, right? So I feel like because of those reasons, it's gonna start to become a lot more common in today's game of basketball, as long as you're doing it in a way that's crisp, effective, and not going overboard with it. And if you think that maybe I'm being too forward thinking about this, think back about 10, maybe 20, 30 years ago. Things like behind the back dribbles, between the leg dribbles, things like that were considered to be flashy if you did them too much, or sometimes even at all. Like when you went back 30, 40 years, if you were doing that stuff, it was like, whoa, tone it down. You don't need to be doing all that stuff. Nowadays, you're expected to do that at a very young age, right? Grade school kids, middle school kids for sure are expected to be able to do a lot of those dribble moves, especially if you're the point guard. Same thing's gonna be happening with a Shammgod. I can almost guarantee that, because again, it's really not that flashy of a move if you're keeping it crisp and tight. But leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts on this. Hit that like button if you dug this video, and if you really want to take your handles next level, click the top link in the description. That's a 100% free workout that's already helped thousands of players. I'm sure it'll help you too. Click the link, pop in your email, and I'll send it to you instantly for free. And if you haven't, subscribe and click that bell icon and be notified of the newest videos. I'll see you in the next one.